Annualized growth of about 30% in terms of trade between India and South Africa, a very strong and growing partnership. What's building this relationship, do you think?
I think it's built on the fundamental complementarities in the economies of our two countries. We have products and services that are of interest in South Africa, including our IT capacities and our pharma capacities. And of course, South African strengths in the resource sector is one of the big drivers of the relationship. Right. But we'd like to be able to drive this further beyond trade to look at investments, because the skill sets that the two countries have are also extremely complementary. Right. If you look particularly at the skills that South Africa has in mining technologies or in construction technologies, these are huge opportunities for India to benefit from South Africa and for South African businesses to benefit in India.
Now, one of the hallmarks of India's strategy in doing business in South Africa and in Africa is to specialize or focus on investments in secondary and tertiary industries, whereas the Chinese are extractive. So we're seeing heavy Indian investment in manufacturing, for instance, especially automotive manufacturing, ICT, communications, as you're saying. But these are also distressed sectors in many ways. How has India's trade with South Africa been affected by South Africa's vulnerability to the recession?
Well, I can't deny that it has had an impact. I think we have two of our vehicle manufacturers who are here, for instance, the Tata Automotive Company and Mahindra's. The last year has been a bit of an improvement. 2008 was particularly bad for them, and I think there has been a bit of an uptick in sales. We're hoping that with the signs of recovery and with the prices of resources, particularly gold, platinum, coal and iron ore, all of them reaching pretty much near record levels, it should be able to spur a fresh wave of investment, a fresh wave of consumption in the economy. We'd also like to see the telecom sector and the pharma sector going up, and since we have investments in productive capacity out here, including in pharma, we hope that the localization strategy will eventually benefit us.
All right, let's talk about the role of India in some of the mining sectors. We know that India is renowned for its ferrochrome production. We're also told that within the steel fabrication sector, the demand in India is 4.5%. So there's definitely a synergy there in terms of us being able to provide you with steel and you being able to provide us with ferrochrome expertise. We know that companies like Tata Steel are going to begin operations extensively, or investments of over 2 million here in South Africa this year. Those synergies in the context of what's happening with resources?
Well, you mentioned Tata Steel and ferrochrome. That is already an ongoing project now. It's at Richards Bay, and it's one of the bigger investments we have in South Africa. It's a sector of great interest because, as you correctly said, the production of steel is key to our modernization strategy, including infrastructure. Where we have a bit of a problem is in being able to access resources easily. It's not so much the fact that resources are not available. They are available here, but the bottlenecks in transportation and capacities at ports and on the railway line, Transnet Railway, is a serious challenge for us. We are a newer player in the market comparatively since 1994. We sort of came in here. So that is something we need to have addressed.
All right, let's move beyond business. Collaboration happens on many fronts. We are historical partners through the non-aligned movement, IBSA, diplomatically now at the G20, and also recently on climate change, with both India and South Africa adding their names to the preamble of the Copenhagen Agreement. But we're competing. India has a candidate for UN Chief of Climate Change. South Africa has a candidate for UN Chief of Climate Change. Would the Indians step down to let us?
Well, you know, I think the competition is perhaps a little bit of a misnomer in this case, because this is not an election for the post that has been vacated by Ivo de Boer. The post is a nominated post to the UN Secretary General, and he hasn't even actually formally called for nominations. Now, I've read in the press that the Permanent Secretary of our Department of Environment is keen on the post, and I know that there are candidates in South Africa too, highly qualified candidates. So it's really a question of the Secretary General making a pick. And I'm sure this is really not a question of which one decides to step down for the other.
All right, and finally and very briefly, South Africa has the World Cup this year, the Commonwealth Games in India this year. Synergies in terms of sharing culturally on the expertise and on the experience of these two sporting events?
I think this is a fantastic opportunity for both our countries to showcase sort of cultural splendor and the diversity of our countries. And it's a great opportunity for us to try and partner in being able to sort of play off each other's synergies on these mega events. We also host the Cricket World Cup the following year, in 2011. And these are all sporting events that this sporting crazy country love. So, you know, we'd love to be able to find ways of partnering this a little further. We're talking to people in the organizational side, particularly in the province of Gauteng. Yeah. And we're hoping that we can be able to do some activities here that will sort of invite South Africans to come to India and sort of raise the publicity of FIFA 2010 in India. So hopefully in the next month or two, we should know whether we've been successful. Okay. And at the end of it, of course, we'd love to have South African friends come to India for the Commonwealth Games.